everybody, I'm Derek, and you're watching Kelly Mountain Outdoors. In today's video, we're going to be building an AR-15 pistol. Let's get started. For this build, we're going to be using just a standard Anderson lower and a Strike Industries pistol buffer tube. The FDE was the only color they had in stock, and that's not the color scheme that I wanted to go for with this build, so we are actually going to go with a two-tone. So I'm going to do the lower and the pistol buffer tube in a dark gray, and then the rest of the pistol is going to be black. So that's where we're going to start right now, is go ahead and just paint the lower and the buffer tube. Now that we have our lower and our buffer tube painted and the paint's dry, we can go ahead and begin assembling the lower receiver. What we're going to do first is put the trigger in. For this project, I am using a Rise Armament Rave 140 drop-in trigger. See if it can focus there on this. That's the trigger that we're going to be putting in this AR pistol. Very easy assembly. You just drop it right in there. It comes with 2 anti-rotation pins. Sometimes it takes a minute to get it lined up. Once you have the trigger pins pushed in all the way, you can go ahead and insert the screws. This is kind of a tedious task. These screws are very small. It comes with 2 Allen wrenches so that you can use one for a backup, because they will spin on you. The next thing we're going to do is put the rear takedown pin detent and detent spring in the back. There's a little hole right below where the buffer tube threads in, and we're going to put this detent and detent spring in that hole. You want to put a little bit of grease on the end of that detent, not a whole lot, just a little. And then we'll put that detent spring in there. Before you put the detent in, you want to put your takedown pin in. Rear takedown pin in, which will be the shorter of the 2. We are using a Rise Armament lower parts kit for this build as well. Our detent is already in there and greased up, so now we're going to put our detent spring. You want to make sure you do this before you put your castle nut and end plate on. So now that that is done, we are actually ready to go ahead and put our castle nut and end plate on. We're going to thread our castle nut all the way to the back of the buffer tube. We're going to take our spring and drop it in there. We can go ahead and slide our buffer spring and our buffer in. Just push it in all the way, and then our buffer retainer will hold it just like so. A minute ago when I put this in, I called this the magazine catch. This is the bolt release. So to install the magazine catch, this is what it looks like, and the spring that goes with it, and then this is your mag release right here. So we're going to take this and we're going to slide it in from the opposite side, and then we're going to take our spring and put it over that bolt, and then we're going to take our mag release button and thread it sometimes it's easier to push the entire assembly in with your thumb, and then it'll come out on the other side. Now that the bolt is flush, while it's on this vise block, you can actually test its functionality, and it works just fine. The pistol brace itself is not hard to install at all. It pretty much just has a set screw in the bottom, so you put it on the buffer tube, slide it to where you want it. I've already kind of pre-fit it so I know where I would like it. Make sure it's lined up, and then just tighten the set screw down. Alright, so now we've flipped it over because it's a lot easier to do this with it upside down to do the safety selector. So we're going to slide it in from the other side. Just like that. This is our safety selector detent. It has a flat side and then a pointy side. We're going to put a little bit of grease on the pointy side. We're going to drop it in right there. We're going to take our grip. We're using the magpul grip. Make sure your spring lines up with that hole, and then put your grip on just like so. Then we're going to take our Allen wrench, or our Allen screw that holds our grip on. And that's all there is to putting the safety selector on. Now we'll just check it and make sure it works, and it does. The next thing we're going to install is our magpul MOE trigger guard. Once you get it started, it'll actually be a lot easier to just take it and lay it on something flat and then tap the roll pin in the rest of the way. But while we've got it up here on the vise, we're going to go ahead and insert the set screw into this side. So the last thing we're going to do to this lower before it's complete is we're going to put the front takedown pin in. So we're going to slide our detent spring in, and then our detent will go in. This part is extremely tricky. What I have found works really well is some sort of credit card. You want to put a little grease on the detent as well. So we're going to slide our detent in. This is a very tricky part of this process. It doesn't hurt to have a few of these detents laying around. Alright, so we're using a card to hold that in place. While we slide our takedown pin in. And there you have it. Fully functional front takedown pin. And now we have a completed lower receiver. Next, we are going to install the upper on the receiver. So for this particular build, I decided to go with a complete upper. This is a 10.5 inch pistol. It's a Bear Creek Arsenal 5.56 side charging upper assembly. Comes in the mail just like this. That's one of the reasons I decided to go with a completed assembly. Just saves a lot of time, and honestly this was probably cheaper than if I had bought all of these parts individually. So all that's left now is to pop this on, and now we are done. All that's left to do now is to put a optic on it. So for the optic I decided to go with on this build, we are going to go with the Sig Sauer Romeo 5. The reason I got this is for the Motac technology that they put in it, where whenever you pick the weapon up, it automatically comes on. I was kind of sold on that feature, but other than that, it gets really good reviews. And for well, that does it for the 10.5 inch pistol build. All that's left now is taking it out to the range and having some fun with it. Once I get to do that, I'll get a video put together, and I'll post a video of test firing this thing, and we're going to run it through the paces and see what it can do. Looking forward to having some fun with it. This is a really nice short package. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.